So to see him go down the way he did last night, to see that the way that ankle turned underneath, when you watched him limp off the court, were you as surprised as I was?
Well, I guess I was surprised when he limped off the second time, right? Because he went back in the game.
It's true.
He had 7 points at the time, relaced his sneakers, goes back in the game for 46 seconds, hits the three to get up to 10 points for the game, keeps his streak intact of 1,036 straight games of 10 points or more, which is the longest in NBA history. And now we go into the void, and the team is terming it as an indefinite amount of time that he's going to miss. But the feeling, around the team when you text with sources is that it's going to be a several-week period here, and it's a tenuous time for the Lakers because in those several weeks with this compacted schedule because of COVID-19, you're talking about him missing, anywhere, say 10 to 15 games, maybe at a minimum. And that could really impact where the Lakers are in the standings because as it is right now, they're 0-3 on the season without LeBron if you include that Atlanta game on Saturday.
Dave, I may mention before you came on, February 14th is when AD had his injury. That's been a month plus. What have you been hearing about his status and when he can return as well?
He's going to be reevaluated this upcoming Friday by Laker team doctors. And at that point, even if they clear him, it's not like he would return like the next game that they have Sunday against Orlando Magic. He would need some time to ramp up, to get some practice time, to get, go up against live NBA bodies, even if it's just in 2-on-2, 3-on-3 scenarios on game days. So, Friday's about a week from now. You could add another week of ramp up at that point. I think that's kind of the range you're looking at for AD, barring any setbacks. That you're at least 2 weeks away from having him as well. So I mean, this is a time where they're going to rely on guys like Montrezl Harrell, who's been great for them. Don't get me wrong, he's been great, and Kyle Kuzma and Dennis Schroeder. All those guys are playing up to their level you'd expect or even above it, but they're not LeBron James and Anthony Davis.
How active are they going to be before the trade line to try and get somebody that can help maybe carry that load, while they're going to be without LeBron and AD, trying to make sure that they can stay afloat?
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting because Frank Vogel kind of admitted that, of course, this would change our plans around the trade deadline because it's such a major loss to make up for. At the same time, I don't see Rob Pelinka being the type of guy to make win-now type of moves. He's always looking big picture. And with this squad, they were prepping all season long to make some moves around the margin to try to compete for another championship. I don't see them making wholesale changes. One, I think it'd be difficult for them to make wholesale changes without parting with two of their young players in Alex Caruso and Taylor Horton-Tucker, who they covet, who they want to have to be part of the program moving forward, and who are both free agents this summer. And two, when this team has been healthy, and they've had their fair share of bad luck this year, but when they've been healthy, they've been one of the best teams in the league. And you kind of, at this point, kind of got to grip tight, hope you can upgrade without tearing things down, and hope you have luck on your side where you can have a 15, 20-game ramp-up before the playoffs and then go try to defend your title.
Dave, what have you been hearing around the franchise as it relates to Andre Drummond? Because I feel like once he becomes on the market as a potential guy to get, seeing how they're bigs and the way that Frank Vogel likes to play defense, utilizing those bigs and utilizing that sides to dominate you on the boards, could it be an additive piece that could help this team get to where they need to be?
Yeah, Jay, I mean, Drummond is a piece that they'd really like to add. Obviously, add in a buyout type of scenario. The Cleveland Cavaliers have been adamant that they want to find a trade partner for Andre Drummond. Thus far, that hasn't worked out in terms of them getting a deal that they would have liked. It would be either taking back too much salary long term in the deals that have been offered, or the pieces that they were looking for just didn't make sense with the core that they already have. That said, even if Andre Drummond is bought out, he's going to have suitors around the league. And I don't know if the Lakers have a sense that Drummond would pick them over, say, Brooklyn, where he was teammates with Blake Griffin in Detroit, and they would have a need for him going up against a guy like a Joel Embiid in the playoffs, or he could go to LA but play for the Clippers, perhaps. I mean, he'd have other suitors around the league. He'd go to Boston and play a major role. So if he does hit the market, the Lakers would need him to pick him. But certainly if he did pick the Lakers, I mean, there's a huge role waiting for him with the Lakers, because Marc Gasol just hasn't worked out this year. And, beyond that, they don't have those backup centers like they had with JaVale McGee and Dwight Howard. Their center stock is pretty low right now.
Guys, we're talking about the LeBron injury. We were just watching the replay of it, and it's one of those where you watch it and you can't help but wince, right? Like as you see it. We don't normally see LeBron in those types of situations. What's the latest you can give us on that injury and his future?
Yeah, guys, they're still evaluating the ankle now, but I'm told the Lakers are preparing for what is really typically the normal recovery time for that kind of high ankle sprain, and that's 3 weeks to a month. That there's a sense that it probably is not going to be really less than that. And so LeBron has always shown
3 weeks to a month, Woj? 3 weeks to a month? Wow.
That's what they're preparing for right now. They're still evaluating it, I'm told. But, listen, James has shown a tremendous ability to come back from injury. He's had a lot of ankle sprains in his career, and he's never missed more than a few games, but this is different. You guys know a high ankle sprain is a different kind of injury. And so the Lakers are preparing for the fact, that he's going to be out, that they're going to measure this in weeks and not days. And obviously coupled with Anthony Davis's calf injury, this is a really problematic stretch for a Laker team, that really is going to and does struggle without having those two stars on the floor.
Yeah, just for everybody to understand, in 3 weeks to a month. So the NBA season, because it started late, the end of the season's regular season would be mid-May. That would take him to the end of April at the longest, which would leave a couple of weeks before the playoffs begin. Go ahead, Bart.
Yeah, Woj, what kind of pressure does
that's typical. That's typical of that injury, right?
Right.
Woj, what kind of pressure does that put on Anthony Davis to try and play hero to keep them in the standings to come back a little early? Does this speed up his process, or are they going to continue to stay patient with Anthony Davis as well?
Yeah, they're going to continue, Bart, to be cautious with Davis and not change his timetable. Listen, the Lakers did build a cushion, obviously, with this season in the standings. And I think more than anything for LA, they need to have both players healthy for the postseason. I don't think they have to worry about home court or who their matchup is in an early round. I think there's a confidence there, that with a healthy LeBron James, a healthy Anthony Davis, that they can go on the road and win in the playoffs. Just imagine if you're the Jazz or the Suns and you get the 1 seed, you get the 2 seed, and all of a sudden you look up and you're in the first round of the playoffs and you got a healthy AD and a healthy LeBron coming into your building for a game 1 or 2. That is not how you imagine getting rewarded for a high seed, but that's within the realm of possibility here.
Well, how does this change the trade deadline strategy for the Lakers or teams that are chasing them right now in the West?
Well, I think for the trade deadline for the Lakers, I don't know that it changes it really at all. I think they're probably going to be more active in the buyout market. Andre Drummond from Cleveland, I think the expectation is the Cavs are going to continue to have a difficult time finding a trade for him this week, that ultimately, if he wants to leave Cleveland, play somewhere else this year, it's going to be a buyout. And then I think the Lakers and Nets are certainly two of the teams at the top of that list. He certainly could play a significant role with LA. They miss the size and the ability to protect the rim that they had last year with Dwight Howard, JaVale McGee, they don't have that with Montrezl Harrell, Marc Gasol. So certainly that's at the top of their priority list. I know they have called around, about certainly size, shooting at the trade deadline. It's hard to imagine that there's a significant trade for this Laker team out there, but they've been trying. Listen, you're not replacing, AD and LeBron here in the short term at the deadline, but they certainly have been active, and I think the buyout market is probably where I think the Lakers can do more, make more of an impact on improving that roster.
KJZ, ESPN Radio, Bart and Hahn kicking it with Jay Will, talking to Woj right now, latest in the NBA. So there's one injury to another. You go from an MVP candidate to a Rookie of the Year candidate. You reported that LaMelo Ball could miss the season with a wrist injury. I know he's getting a second opinion on the prognosis. What else can you tell us right now about that situation?
Yeah, it's really unfortunate. LaMelo Ball had been spectacular in this rookie season. I mean, he made the Hornets a team you wanted to watch every night. He's coming to New York, I'm told, early this week, today, tomorrow, to meet with one of the top hand specialists, Michelle Carlson. But very likely the expectation is he is done for the season. Fractured his hand just below his thumb. And this was a Charlotte team that was in the playoff race, had the 8th seed. And certainly without Ball, that changes dramatically the dynamic for this Charlotte team. But Ball has shown himself to be a potential franchise player for Charlotte, and really frustrating for him, for the organization, to lose him this way. But I'm told that the expectation is he's probably going to miss the rest of the year.
Woj, a more pressing question. What happened to your Bonnies this weekend, man? LSU, that was a tough one.
Tough matchup for the Bonnies. Listen, regular season Atlantic 10 champion, tournament champion, and then we've got the whole team back next season. So we're out working and recruiting. We'll add a couple guys. We'll see you next March, Jay. We'll see you back there.
Well,
hopefully we will see you, because hopefully we'll be in the tournament next March with you guys.
Woj, here's all you have to say is, you know what? We really missed Duke this year. Said no one.
Said no one.
Yeah, hey, Jay, listen, we would love to, we were a 9 seed this year. If we're a 7-6 seed next year, maybe we can get you guys in a 6-11 game or something like that if Duke can eke into the tournament.
And that's why I love you, Woj.
We appreciate you, man. Thanks so much.
See you guys. Thanks.
Thanks, Woj.
Hey,